Hi guys, in this video I'm going to be working on this piece I have started here. I am going to be working on the expressive underpainting. So far on this canvas I have sketched out where everything is going to go with a black China marker. I have added in some collage. It's quite intentional collage. I have a source photo that I have created for this piece and I have looked for images that are going to really help bring through the idea I have. I will be painting over most of these lily pads and some of these fish as well, and so they'll be very much knitted into the piece at the end. I have collaged these down with some Liquitex matte medium using a wedge, a catalyst tool wedge. I find this is a great tool to apply collage with. Then I added on some modeling paste and I've gone over a lot of the edges of the collage, and this helps disguise the collage a little bit. As you start moving through more of the painting process, you're not going to get this kind of outline of the collage. The modeling paste allows it to be hidden when you apply it to the edges of the collage, so it's not like it's, oh, she stuck on collage there kind of thing. It's embedded and you really can't tell once you've painted on a piece that it is collage. Well, not so much anyway. So I have these lily pads here, and this is another one of these koi fish. And then I have a lily flower here and a lily flower here, and then the rest is going to be more abstracted. So that is my plan. And so for this initial layer, I just want to do some fluid acrylics and inks, and then I will dry that and do a little bit of mark making and some alcohol drops, and just have a little bit of fun really with this initial layer, keeping in mind the direction of the painting. When I am choosing my colors for my underpainting, I'm looking at my source photo just to get the general color story idea and make sure that I'm using those colors. We don't want to use colors that are completely not in line with our color story or where we hope the painting to go visually. We want to use colors that are going to help us build our painting from the bottom up. So these are the colors I'm going to be using in my underpainting today. I have phthalo turquoise, which is a transparent, blue black indigo, which is a semi-transparent. I'm going to pop a little bit of the fluorescent pink in there, which is a semi-transparent. There is not a lot of pink in my source photo at all, but I find it really beautiful to add a little fluorescent pink into almost everything I do. So a little bit of that. I have this fluorescent orange, which is a semi-transparent. This transparent burnt sienna. And this green, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. I'll just pop that on the screen for you guys. So those are the colors I have out to use initially here today. Okay, so I'm going to wet this canvas to start using my water spray bottle. Putting water on the canvas itself helps with the fluidity when you add inks and paint to the canvas. When I'm working with acrylic paint in this initial layer, I will often add and mix water into the paint on the palette before I bring it over onto the canvas. But it does help to have a wet canvas. It allows things to move around the canvas more, finding their own effect. Starting with that green ink, I will just pop my source photo up on the screen for you so you can see what I'm referring to as I create this painting. I wet a large brush and I'm going to use it to pull some of this ink around the canvas, mainly where I see some green areas in the source photo. Picking transparent or semi-transparent colors here in this initial layer will allow you to go for it and still be able to see your drawing through the ink and paint. I prefer this so I can easily move on to blocking in my forms straight after this. Now this is normal acrylic paint, not high flow or anything like that, so I will need to water it down to create that wash that I'm after. As I said before, I will just pop it on the palette and mix a whole heap of water to it and then transfer it onto the canvas. This is a really beautiful color if you're doing anything water related. Phthalo turquoise is what it's called. It's a really pretty color for water, or it has that jewel color to it as well if you wanted a jewel or gem-like color story. Looking at my source here for a little bit of direction. None of this is final, it's just a little bit of fun really, but you want it to be productive fun. You don't want to have to go over it and change where you've put colors. See, this modeling paste has created this cool texture, which I love. Okay, now there is a little bit of purple in my source photo as well, so I'm just going to pop a little bit of this fluorescent pink into this blue that I have here already. That is nowhere near enough paint to change that color, but it's better to not go enough than too much, because then you'll have to try and bring the color back. That's much better. That's more the color I was after. I should really be careful where I'm flicking this. I have a white top on today. Probably not the best choice of color to wear when I'm painting, but never mind. Now I'm just going to pop some more of this pink down on its own. And with this brush, I just want to do some more concentrated areas with this pink. Now I'm going to add some of this fluorescent orange to this pink, and that will take the color to more of a bright peachy color, which is fun. I'm not loving that. I have forgotten that I actually need to dry this before I take in that peach to make sure the colors don't go muddy. So I'm going to stop here. Just before I do dry this though, I'm going to add a couple of alcohol drops. I have alcohol in this bottle that I drop into my ink and wet paint, and it creates these really cool effects. Oh, it's starting without me. Stop! I'm not ready. Oh well, unplanned. Hopefully that works out alright. I like to bring this straw out and tap it on the canvas because the spray bottle that I have doesn't spray it out the way I need. It sprays it too fine perhaps and doesn't allow for these cool droplets so much. So you want to get a good amount on there, but don't go overboard. Although of course you can cover them up, so it's really no biggie. Oh, I've never dragged it like that before. I've only ever dropped it, so that's new and fun. Let's do that a bit more. I wonder how that will dry because it comes up like this when it's wet, but that's not necessarily what you get when it's dried. If the paint or ink is too wet, it can get consumed by the wet paint. It's fun. I'm loving it a bit too much. I'm going too far into it. I need to stop there. Okay, good. Stop now. So now I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to come and do some more of that peachy orange, I think, and some of this transparent burnt sienna. I just don't want it to mix with the green and the blue too much. So this is completely dry now. I have dried it with a hairdryer and it is completely dry. It is always best to let it dry on its own if you can, but I like to move a bit more faster than that, so I opt to dry my paintings and not wait for them to dry. Now I want to bring in some of this transparent burnt sienna and a little bit of the fluorescent orange. Since I started filming this again, I have gone and changed my water, so I have nice clean water. I washed out my brushes. I find that it's really important to keep our colors nice and rich and clean, and so we're not mixing the colors with each other and creating these kind of non-vibrant colors. We want to keep it nice and rich and clean and vibrant, and the colors to be the right colors that we want them to be. For this color, I'm looking a little bit further into my source, just for where I want to place this color, because it is quite different to the green and blue that I've placed earlier. I still want to apply this color freely to a point. I just don't want to go rogue. If you want these drops to not be so concentrated, just add a little water and they'll move around a bit more. A bit of both flowing ink and drops is a nice difference. I'm pretty happy to leave those dots there. Add a little bit of this in there. It's cool how this bright orange is seeping into the darker orange. I think that looks really cool. This is going to be an orange fish, so this will integrate nicely with the paint that will go on top. And where else? Okay, I think that's good for now. Now I'm going to dry that, and then I'm going to start doing a little bit of mark making. So I started drying this, and it was probably quite obvious to you and to me too, but I've decided that I'm just gonna hold my guns. I just really like how the fluorescent orange is moving into the burnt sienna. I just want to let that dry on its own to see if it can keep some of the cool effects that it's making. So I'm just going to hold fire, but I'm not completely stopping. I'm going to work around it, so I'm just not going to go into that bit, but I'm going to start doing some other marks and stuff while this is wet. I'm just not going to work on those areas, so let's get on with that. So I've got out some Prismacolor pencils. I have these soft pastels and these Caran d'Ache crayons, the water soluble ones. So the soft pastels and the water soluble crayons are going to need fixing. So I'm just going to use them, and then before I go on to the next stage of my painting, I'll just spray them with a fixative, so that will be fine. I think I'll start with these crayons. It is good to have your source nearby to refer to. I should have it up on my wall. Okay, what have we got? Let's have a look. Do some orange. So because these are water soluble, I can do them near water and it will just activate them a little bit, which kind of looks cool. I think it's fun to find cues like certain patterns that are already on your canvas and just kind of go with it to help with different marks that you feel might benefit the idea or the feel of the piece. So this would be kind of watery. So this type of fluid movement would add to the idea of the piece. I'm not really one of those artists that can just go hard out with their mark making without really thinking about what they're doing. I'm a bit more calculated in the way I approach my art. I find that this is like, I like to be expressive and use expressive marks and everything, but I want them to be in the right place and I want them to have the right look about them to know, bring about what I'm going after. And I just find that by approaching it this way, I'm not creating more work for myself. Like, I'm thinking about the direction that I'm going. And if I'm just going at it, then I feel like I might have to cover more and potentially lose some of these really cool undermarks that I could have left if I had just not gone too crazy with my mark making. Does that make sense? I'm going to add a tiny bit of water here to show you how you can activate them and paint with them as well. If you have got Caran d'Ache water soluble crayons, this is what you can do with them, it's quite cool. That's why I love mixed media. There's so many different ways to use your materials and it all adds to your piece. You want to move your medium, whatever you're using, around a little bit and try to use it in different ways. This creates different textures, visual texture, which all helps to create a really interesting painting. I just want to leave this to dry, and then I think I'll do some more mark making after I go over the whole thing with the glaze. And so I'll probably use like a light blue, so I'll probably add some clear painting medium to this phthalo turquoise and just slightly go over the whole thing, and that's going to bring it all together. And then I'm going to look at my piece and see where I can add more marks. Sometimes I will do some painting on it and then I'll go back to mark making, and then I'll do some more painting, some glazing, and then back to mark making. So it's this pull forward and push back and add in and take out whole situation. Before I do go though, I'm going to just open these soft pastels. This is a new thing that I have brought into my process. I don't always use it, but I have found it's, you know, pretty fun. These are from Holbein Artist. I just really like the colors. Like, look at this color. I used some of these in my last piece in Flow, the other water piece with the stingrays. And so I'm just going to do a little bit of this to show you how cool these are. They are soft pastels, so they get a little bit of powder that comes off them when you use them heavily, I guess. You probably don't want to add them to water. That's probably not ideal. Never mind. They blend really well, and I think it's really cool kind of difference, like the blended marks with the more kind of standalone marks, if that makes sense. They're fun, like you can get your fingers involved with them and move them around with your fingers. Kind of has like this finger painting feel to it when you do it like that, which is fun. You kind of feel like a child again. You can obviously leave them stand alone like that, and when you fix them, they will stay like that. You can see how these, if you spend a little time with them, you can see how they could really add to your underpainting. You can of course always use them on their side as well. This one I've used on the side, just kind of dragging marks. It's a different texture. And the Prismacolor pencils, they are good. You don't actually have to fix those. I have found that you can just paint over them and they don't move, which is great. And they're good for adding something quickly too in between layers. They can add like some really cool finer lines in your painting, and they're quite vivid too. They're very pigmented, so it's fun. So they're fun to use. I am going to leave it there for now, but I hope you enjoyed that and got some fun ideas of what you might like to do with your underpainting, some different things that you might like to try. So like I said, I'm going to let this dry and then I'll come over it with a glaze just to bring it all together and see how I want to develop it from there. But this is generally how I start all my paintings. It's a bit of fun, a bit of mark making, some fluid movement inks and alcohol drips, and yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'm super excited to see what you guys create. If you want to share it with me, I am on both Instagram and Facebook and obviously YouTube. Happy creating, guys. Thanks so much.